Let's see if I can ramble my way through this. So what I'm looking at here is NodeRED, and I just want to go through a simple process of determining what the message is that's being sent when a device is activated in Home Assistant. So if I come over here to my list of Home Assistant nodes, I can come in here and I can pull out the events state node. So I'll drop that in here. And basically what this does is it watches for a state that's changed from all entities. But I want to narrow it down and I want to choose, let's say, we'll choose the light patio, patio lights. And I want to know what the entire message is that's sent when the patio lights turn on and off. So I'm going to leave this blank. I'm not going to change any of the settings in here. I'm going to leave everything as it is, and I'll hit done. Now, um, I could name this. I'll double click it again. I could name this node and call it, oops, it's slow to respond today. Let's do name is watch patio lights. Done. Now it's got a pretty name. And then what I'll do is I'll create a debug node. I'll add one of these so I can see what is sent to um, the info console here, the debug console, and I'll connect this one to here. Connect the watch patio lights to the debug node, and I could even give the debug node a name and call it I don't know, hoo-ha, whatever. It's just something to identify it because this title will show up as a link in your debugging monitor, and you'll be able to click on that. And it'll take you um, to that debug node, so you know what flow is causing a problem if there's a problem. So the other thing I want to do is I want to double click on this debug node, and I want to change the message payload to complete message object. And this is going to give me an idea of what's being sent in its entirety. And let's do that. So I'll deploy it like I just did, and then I'm going to fire up the lights page on my setup, and I'm going to trigger the patio lights. So now they've been turned on. If I go back to NodeRED, I can see that because they've been turned on at 1940, I now have a payload, but I have the entire message object. So I've got the payload is on, but all of the data that's included with that, um, it brings across the entity ID, the old state of what it was off, the old attributes. If anything's changed, it'll show the old ones and then it'll show the new ones. Here's the context. It shows you how it was created, that a user actually triggered this instead of a device. This user ID is indicative of what actually caused it to happen. And the new state has all the same information. Entity ID, state on. You can see up here it's state off. This is state on. And it shows you the old state and the new state. And with all this information, you can create logic that sends this message further down the line to do certain things for your automation. And so let's see. Why would this be important? Well, you could do something like uh, you could watch all of the objects that have, all of the devices that have the term lights in it. And then you could use the new state or the old state under attributes. You could use the, let's see, new state attributes, the friendly name. Friendly name gives you text. It's a text string that you can use inside of an announcement, inside of a text TTS send notification. And so you could use this and convert this um, convert the payload to patio lights. As an example, let's go up here and I'll do a change node because I want to change the information. So we'll change this and I'll take this connection out and I'll connect this up to here. Now I want to set the payload to this value, the new state value of friendly name. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do set message payload equal to, we're going to do message dot, see, so we have message object, message dot data dot new state dot attributes dot friendly name. Done. Now I'll deploy and I'll clear this. So we'll go back to our UI in Home Assistant and we'll trigger this. We'll turn this off. Now we can go back and we can see the message here has been converted and it no longer says on or off as the payload. Remember the payload coming from watch patio lights was on or off, and all of the data, underlying data, was a bunch of jumbled, information that you can use. But you can use this change node to change the payload. Well, let's see what happened. Did it just turn on? Oh yeah, if I turn it off at nighttime, and yeah, that's right. I have an automation set to turn the patio lights on if they're off. So every minute between certain hours, the patio lights are checked, and if they're not on, they get turned on. And so we can look at this instance, and we can go, okay, it's taken the data that it got from the bus, from Home Assistant bus, and it's mined just the information in this spot. So we've changed the payload to the data that's found in this path, which is found in this object here. Not this one, but the one that we don't see anymore. And as a result, now we have the payload as patio lights. So what happens is it makes it really easy for us to do a text message or a text-to-speech announcement. And so I can come in over to the node palette and I can pull a service call. Is that the one I want? Yeah. We'll call the service. Let's connect this right here. And I'm going to double click call service and let's say announce patio lights on. Announce patio lights. Domain TTS. And the service is Cloud Say. And the entity is, see, we want to do it on media player PyCore. That's the one I'm using. And then the data is going to be JSON, and it's going to be as in accordance with what's down here. It's going to be a message colon payload, and that should work. Yeah. So let's click done and deploy. So because payload, the value in payload is patio lights, when this announces, it's going to say patio lights. And I could change this message to be something on the lines of the payload were just turned on, right? And then I'll click done and deploy. And that's it. So now, in theory, if I click this button, turn the patio lights off, I've gotten, this is watching the patio lights, it sets the payload, and then it announces. And it worked. So it just said, and I heard it, the patio lights were just turned on. Only there's an error here. They weren't just turned on, they were turned off. And so I'll follow up with another video on how we can set those variables and how you can actually use a single automation like this to handle watching a certain group of lights so that you don't have to recreate this for every light in your house. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Hope that helps you out. We'll see you next time.